All right, Cyrus Rustom, welcome to Tasty Humans.
Thank you.
Powered by What's On Here, Media One Hotel in the lovely Motivate podcast studio. So we met just a moment ago. We don't know each other that well at all. So for the sake of the audience, introduce yourself and what do you do?
Hi, everyone. I'm Cyrus, and I'm the co-founder of Boxica, which is a fitness studio here in Dubai. I've lived here for 12 years. I have a beautiful wife and a handsome little 2.5-year-old here in Dubai. And my background is the military. And I also spent some time backpacking around the world in a very short few sentences. That's it. That's me.
There you go. Thanks for coming on. See you later. So, the military. It was something that always fascinates me because I never went in the military. My dad used to tell me it would have done me some good. But what division were you in?
I was a Royal Marines Commando for 5 years, and I joined when I was 16.
So what convinced you or made you go straight out of school, straight into the Royal Marines Commandos?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It was a kind of a pivotal moment of my life where my parents had divorced. My mum had left my dad with my 2 sisters and brother. Me and my dad didn't speak to that side of the family for the best part of 15 years. And so that was all very fresh. I was running amok, as you can imagine a young teen would do in that scenario. And I wanted to escape. And my best friend at the time, who was also from a broken family, come into school one morning and showed me a picture of his older brother. And I knew in that moment when I saw that photo that that's what I wanted to do. And his brother just happened to be a Royal Marines Commando. And that's where it started.
So they say that, they say it's widely known that it's some of the toughest training. Let me ask, sorry, how old are you?
I'm 38.
38. Okay, so I'm a decade older than you.
Right.
But so you're going at 16.
Yeah.
How is that training starting at such a young age? Because I know at 16 we all think we're grown men, you know what I mean, which anything but what was it like going straight in to the Commandos?
Yeah, for me personally, I loved it because I was coming from a situation that I hated. So I loved it, every moment of it. I just absorbed it. So I applied to go into the Marines when I was 15 and 9 months old on the day, because you had to be 15 and 9 months old. And I've been wanting to join for years before this, right? My whole life was, I'm going to be a Royal Marines Commando and nothing else. I wasn't even going to school. My attendance in the last year was 43%.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong at that age. I was out running, training, getting ready for the military.
You made your mind up.
100%. No other option for me. And so at 16, I had the warnings. I had a neighbor who was a Marine at one point. I had a guy that was giving me fitness classes who was a former Marine. And they were all advising me like, look, you're not really developed yet. The pass rate for even getting in at your age is so low. You need to wait. And obviously I wasn't having any of it at that age. I just wanted to get out of my hometown and get in the military and go on an adventure. So it was tough. I mean, I went through training. I got to the last. You're right. It's one of the longest, hardest military training courses in the world, from civilian into the military. And towards the end of training, I was doing very well. I was a section commander. I was one of the fittest, if not the fittest, in the troop. And they'd given me leadership responsibilities.
What age were you at this point?
Like 17.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've had another gentleman on, his name's Paul Littlejohn, who was in the Air Force, and he spoke about being given such leadership roles at such an early age. So
yeah, they shouldn't have, really, because I wasn't a leader. The only thing I know why they give me those roles in training, it's because when it got really tough and everyone's head was down and they were being miserable, I had a smile on my face. And I saw the leadership team, the training team that were taking us through, the captain and the corporals and everyone, they saw that in me. And I knew it, and I knew that's why I got it. I had no leadership at that age. It was just because I had a smile on my face. When
you just smiled when everything was at its absolute worst.
Yeah, because it was like...
So define absolute worst.
Yeah, I mean, imagine packing all your clothes into a large Bergen, we call them, like rucksack. And it's got to be like 50, 60 kilos with all the ammunition and water and weapons and everything. Going out in the British winter into the mountains and staying out there for 2 weeks, running around, doing drills, yomping for miles and miles and miles each day till you've got massive blisters all over your feet. You can't sleep properly. You have to wake up in the night, take your dry clothes off, put your soaking, wet, icy, cold clothes back on, go and lie in a puddle for 2 hours, making sure there's no enemies anywhere. Like, it's tough. But again, I loved it. I loved it because my other option was like, go home and do what? And be in that miserable environment that I hated so much. Now, this was an adventure for me. And so that's, in those moments, I think because my mum left in such a crazy manner, the divorce and everything that went through at that age was mental. And I always looked at everything that come to me and was like, mum left me. Don't speak to her. This is nothing. You know,
okay. So nothing is harder than that.
Yeah, your mum leaves you when you're 12 and you don't speak to her for 15 years. And now it's like, what, we're getting a bit wet and we're rolling around in the dirt. You know? And it was great for me. It was great for me, for my personal life and how I was and my mindset as a teen in school, and joining the military was the perfect thing for me.
I suppose you were saying earlier on about it's all you wanted to do. So if it's all you want to do, the hardest bits are all part of the process, you know. So you're not getting hit by it. I'd often make this analogy to people, which is, you know, if I say to people about training, you know, even in the job that I do, which is, if I said to somebody, let's run to the top of Media One, and they wanted to do it, every step is motivating.
Yes.
But if they don't want to do it, every step is a freaking nightmare.
Yes. Exactly.
And it's just that difference between, as long as someone wants to do something, half the battle's won.
Mate,
I don't know how I'd survive in the military, but...
Yeah, 100% agree with you. It's the military's for a certain type of person, you know, and a lot of the guys that are in the military they're from broken homes, you know. They've really got nothing else. And the guys that have something outside of the military, especially the Royal Marines, day one, when you're going through like everything they put you through, it's like, nah, I've got this good life over here where I was earning decent money and I have a wife and kids and stuff. I don't need to do this. Whereas a young 16-year-old with nothing, it's like you just soak it up, you know. So one thing that I wanted to ask is that you then deployed to Afghanistan, is that correct? And what is the difference between training for it and then actually doing it? Well, at that young age, for me, I wanted to go to Afghanistan because I didn't have the wisdom and the experience that I have today as a 38-year-old with a family and having been around the world now. So I wanted to go to war and I wanted to get in the mix and be a soldier for real. And I'm lucky that I didn't actually get into the mix, in the sense that I never shot my rifle at another human being. I would have, but I didn't, because I was never in the scenario where I had to. And I'm very, very, very glad today that for whatever reason, I didn't have to do that, because a lot of my friends are in real bad and have been through real bad mental and physical health scenarios where they're just like, you know, PTSD and all the rest of it. So
is it through coming to terms with firing the weapons,
killing people?
Like the reason I ask is that when we're all kids, do you know what I mean? We're all running around the forest with sticks trying to be Rambo and everything like that. And I always think there is such... I was having a conversation like this with actually a previous guest who was in the military, and it was a similar thing, which is the way that it is sort of sold to people, you know. When you look at the Hollywood films, they all end up the same way, where it's kind of the training and how tough that is, then we go and how different that is,
yeah,
and then obviously coming home and how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And most of the time you see it from the perspective that they've been injured. But like I was saying, I was asking, like, is it just as bad for just firing the weapon and, like you just said, killing people? Like,
yeah, it's you can't really explain it. Like there's scenarios where there's bombs going off around you, right? There's bullets flying over your head. Your life is in danger. And so it's a shock to the system. That in itself, without killing anyone, is a hard...
Well, this was asking, yeah.
It's a hard environment, you know? Your life is on the line. Any moment you could be killed. The stress of that, especially if you've got a family, you know? And then you start... I didn't really think about this much when I was young, but as you get older, and the older guys probably thought, why are we doing this? Yeah. Why are we in this foreign land, shooting these people, putting our lives on the line for what? At the time, a £16,000 a year salary. I mean, what are we doing here? You know, we've got families, real connection, real love, real things, and we're here fighting a war we should never have been fighting in the first place. So you start thinking about bigger picture stuff when you get older, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, just I was in scenarios where like there was stuff happening, there was bullets flying over, and I saw my teammates, if you want to call them that, fellow Marines, you know, kill other people, and I saw stuff, but I was never actually involved myself. Touch wood.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's like in training, you shooting your gun at shooting your rifle. Sorry, I should definitely say rifle, not gun. You're shooting your rifle at a target. All right, but the real war, you're shooting at another man with a family.
Yeah.
And so why are you killing this other human? For what? You know, so that can play on someone's mind. And a lot of my friends that were involved in this kind of thing did struggle at some point. I'm just thankful that I never had to do that, you know?
Oh, fair enough. But you did, so sort of to touch on another point, you suffered a nasty injury.
Yeah.
And that's probably putting it lightly. So yeah. What happened around that as well? Because again, the purpose of the podcast is who you are and what got you to Boxica and the success that you have now. And I think this is a very important moment in it. So
yeah,
you know, what sort of went down there?
Yeah, that's another kind of pivotal moment in my life. Like the photo when I was a kid, it was getting my head crushed. And the short version of it is I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or right place at the right time. Actually,
it's an interesting way to sing back.
Yeah. Got my head crushed, broke my jaw in 3 places, broke my skull all over, completely crushed the whole right side of my face. Couldn't see straight, couldn't hear out my left ear, jaw was wired shut. Had spinal fluid dripping out of my nose and mouth, and I had multiple head surgeries and spent 2 weeks in intensive care, 3 days in a coma, and a total of 2 months in hospital in Oman recovering until I was allowed to fly home. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a big one.
What was it like? I mean, I know a guy who was says he was in a coma for a number of days. Do you remember anything? He has a very vivid memory of like a whole journey that he went on when he was in a coma.
Right.
Do you have any recollection? Was there anything that kind of...
In the coma, no,
just
out. I was gone for that 3 days, but a significant point of all this that I got from it was I was in hospital. I was feeling very sorry for myself.
I can imagine.
The specialist told me, you're not going to be able to see straight again. You're not going to be able to hear again. You might not be able to walk again. My face was hideous. And I wish I had a photograph to show people today because it's unbelievable.
Because you don't look, when I obviously I read your bio and everything, and I thought, you know, there would be scar tissue damage. Nothing.
No, there is small scars and stuff around my head and ears and nose and stuff, but you have to really look to see them. My jaw is out of the left side of my jaw sticks out a lot more than my right. But there's a funny twist to that as well, though. In the hospital, when I was feeling sorry for myself, there was another guy in the room, and he was clearly very disabled, and he was clearly very distressed He was like moving around all the time. He was wearing like a nappy, couldn't go to the toilet, couldn't eat. The nurses would spoon like a liquid food and pour it into his mouth. He couldn't really chew properly. He would just kind of like swallow a bit and he would go everywhere. He had bed sores all over him. He was constantly making noises and he was always trying to bite himself. And there was an older gentleman that would visit him every day, and he would go and sit by his bed. There was only 2 of us in the room, loads of beds, massive room, 2 guys. He would have to walk past my bed to get to this other guy's bed that he was visiting. So he would come by my bed and he would stand next to me and he would say, you know, Inshallah, you will be okay. God is watching over you. You're going to be with your family soon. You will heal. And I was on my own.
I was about to ask, so you're completely alone?
Fully alone.
Wow.
They were going to fly my dad out when I was in the coma, but when I woke up 3 days later, they told him, hold fast, we're going to look after him and we'll bring him back to you when he's healed, which was, again, a blessing that they didn't send my dad out, because I went through all this and I was about to get this lesson that I wouldn't have got, I think, if my dad was there or whatever. So I asked the nurse what was the story with the guy after seeing this for like a week or so. I couldn't speak because my jaw was wired shut, so I wrote on a piece of paper then, what's the deal? She didn't want to tell me at first, but eventually she opened up and she said, Guy was involved in a car accident several months ago. He was driving the car with his mum and sister, and his mum and sister died immediately. The injuries are so severe that he will never heal again. And the reason why he keeps trying to bite himself is because he's guilty about killing his mum and little sister. He wants to die, and he has full awareness of his mind and no control of his body. So he's fully aware, fully normal in the mind, like what happened, what he's done, and how the situation he's in. And the older guy that visits him every day, she was telling me, is his father.
Wow.
And so I was there feeling like an idiot that I'd been feeling sorry for myself.
Okay.
When these 2 gentlemen were like really suffering. And that was a lesson that I needed, that I needed to get. So I immediately switched my mindset. And any serious injury, like where you almost die, is when you come out of it all, it's on repeat in the mind, or at least it was for me. And so and I was feeling sorry for myself when I was going through it. I was going through all the raw emotions of it, and every time I went through it, I say this to people that I've spoken about this to before, is like, it's as if my brain was ingraining the fact that I was a victim. This happened to me. Why? I'm never going to be able to see straight again. I'm not going to be able to hear again. I've got no confidence. No woman's going to love me looking like this. Victim, 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 victim. But when I heard about these men, I went through the incident again, but not as a victim. It was like as if I was outside of myself and I was going through the incident. And I realized something. When I was lying on the floor, I had friends that were gathered around me. They were holding my hands, trying to calm me down. They had to let go because I was squeezing their hands so tight. I was screaming at the top of my voice. And I realized when I went through the incident again, that I realized why I was so upset. It's because a lot of people say that you have a flashback moment before you die.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a kind of a flashback, but it was a realization that I'd fucked up because I'd lived my life a scared little boy, and I was still a scared little boy. I wasn't going after my dreams. I didn't think I was worthy of anything great. My job was just to shut the F up and not rock the boat with anyone, stay in line, do what everyone else is doing. If you really get those dreams and goals that come up that you want to achieve, not for you, Cyrus, you push them back down and you stay in your lane. And my realization, my moment was, why was I living like that? Why didn't I deserve these other great things that I saw other people doing? And it was a wake-up call because I was upset, angry, and regretful. And I had a feeling, I had a deep knowing that I was dying. It's weird, like it's a serious accident, there's blood, dripping everywhere and stuff, and it was like, I'm dead. And I was dying.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must be, not as a joke, you must be very aware that something is very, very wrong.
Yes.
Given that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to explain.
Because the body goes into shock.
It's me. It's as if there's a wall of blackness and you can't perceive beyond it. And it's like, oh, the wall's coming towards me and there's nothing beyond it. It's very strange. And then looking back over all this, it was like, oh, I'm going to die eventually. Hopefully it's when I'm very old and I've lived out all my dreams and goals, but clearly that's not a given what has happened here. So I need to make sure that I live my life a certain way so that when, not if, that moment, when it comes to me again, I don't live with this like pain of like, why am I living this way? Why didn't I go after my goals and dreams? Why didn't I speak out? Why didn't I be true to myself? Why am I trying to be someone else? Because I'm scared of what other people might think of me. So that was...
Is that what it was? Like I was going to ask, like, when you say, why do you think you did put yourself in that box? Did that come from early teenage years?
Yeah, somewhere along the line, I got it in my head that I was not worthy. I wasn't worthy. That's what I got in my head at some point. I don't know where that started. I was very shy, very unconfident, very... just like I said initially, a scared little boy. That's what I was as a young adult. Now I'm still a scared little boy. My actions and everything, my thoughts, everything is in line with that. And I knew I was meant for so much more. So again, the accident was a blessing because it showed me at an early age, oi, you don't have to live like that. And you are going to die one day. So you better get living.
Okay.
And that's what I got from it.
So what happened next? Because this is intriguing, to be fair. So what happened next then? So
after the incident,
in the incident, hospital, recovery. Do you know what I mean? And how you sort of, on one hand, feeling very sorry for yourself, and then you've had this bit of awakening with the other gentleman that was in the room. Sort of when you sort of got back on your feet, maybe mentally and physically, like
I'd already put my notice in to leave the military, and I actually got the confidence knocked out of me. Even though I had this realization, the reality was I still had a messed up face. I still couldn't see properly, hear properly, and I was very, I was still recovering. So I asked the military if I could stay in, and they said, nope, you have to leave now because you're medically downgraded. You're not good enough medically to stay in the military. So I left, and I told the commanding officer when I put my notice in to leave that I wanted to travel the world and live not in uniform. And he was trying to convince me to stay in the military. So he was like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to earn money? And I was like, I'm just going to like work in bars and stuff and party and live on beaches and do whatever. I don't care. I just want to go out there and live, not in the military, not in the military environment. And he was saying, I think you're making a big mistake and blah, blah. Well, anyway, I went back with my tail between my legs. Can I stay in now? And he was like, no. So left the military, went home. Recovery took a very long time. Slowly got my confidence back. I got a payout from the military that allowed me to travel the world for 4.5 years. The dream I had before the accident happened. I thought I wasn't going to look the same again. And I was feeling sorry for myself. I'm never going to meet a woman, blah, blah, blah. That everyone tells me that knows me at the time, that knew me at the time, they tell me, look, you actually look better now. Your jaw's like reset with a more prominent jawline. We think you're actually better looking after the incident.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got a lesson. I got a kick up the arse that I needed. And I honestly believe that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, put me through that for a reason. I have nothing wrong with me right now. And you would never know that I had it's almost unbelievable to think like, wait, your face went through all that?
I couldn't agree with that statement.
And the lawyer, when we were going through the process of getting the money from the military, because the vehicle that we were using, the reason why I got the accident, wasn't supposed to be usable. It was off the road, and we were made to use it. So I had a claim against the military at the insurance company. And the lawyer, when it come to the end, told me, I'm not putting you in front of a judge. I said, why? He goes, you look good.
Yeah, he's not going to believe it.
You got a tan, you're in shape, your face. No, we need to settle outside of court. And you're better off not doing that. So it was for a 22, 23-year-old at the time, 22, I guess, when it all finished. It was £250,000. That was the amount of money I got.
Okay.
Right. It's not a huge amount of money now, but as a 20,
It's a fortune. It's early 20s.
massive.
Yeah.
Right. I traveled the world for 4.5 years.
Yeah. It's not live for the rest of your life money.
No.
But it's.
And I would say about £80,000 of it went into a house, and the rest of it went on alcohol and traveling and partying. And I don't regret a single.
I was about to ask. I bet you don't. Yeah.
Wait, how many people do you know at age 20 can travel, backpack the world, and not have a care, not have a responsibility, nothing? It was freedom in the actual truest sense of the word. Like, we would wake up hungover and be like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? It was such an adventure.
I'd also hazard a guess as well that after what you'd been through, you've got the mental freedom of, yeah, I deserve this. You know what I mean? Which I completely agree with. You know what I mean? Which is that kind of been in the military, not just the accident, but the commitment, the training, the commandos, deploying, all of that side of life. Obviously, like you said, the divorce aspects earlier on. And then, of course, ending up with what happened to you and coming through that, it's like, yeah, like I deserve a side of life that can be, the opposite side. We're going to go wild for a few.
A bit looser.
And also being, what would say, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Mentally, when you're 22 years old, you think you're going to live forever, and there's so much time, because there is. So you've got the time, the money, and the mental freedom to do it. I'm always jealous.
Yeah. People do tell me, like, I wish the accident. All my friends tell me, I wish the accident had happened to me, and it happened for me. There was a reason it all happened, and eventually, after all the partying and traveling and stuff, it became boring.
Mm-hmm.
It took 4.5 years to feel boring, but it eventually got like...
Exactly. So from someone that used to run nightclubs, I'm like, I bet the first 3.5 years are really good.
Yeah.
Because it takes time for it to become boring.
Yeah.
You're just like, that'll take a year for you to go, right, okay, I think we should stop. But I can imagine what the beginning was like.
Well, Thailand was interesting because there's a big community of Marines in Thailand.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of alcohol in my life, and I'd taken drugs a little bit, when we went to Ibiza and stuff, as we were talking about earlier, and I'd say maybe like 20 times in my life I'd done a drug.
Mm-hmm.
In a festival or an Ibiza scenario, not just like down the pub, It was always a dance.
Yes, yeah.
And in Thailand, there was a community of Marines there, or former Marines, and a lot of them lived there, and it was a party town that we were living in, and it's as if stuff just started to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Whether there was drugs starting to come into the picture now, and one of the guys died of an overdose. One of the guys killed himself, and so Thailand just got to the point where it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing this for? Why are we doing this? And so I had a deeper calling where I was just going about my day thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. It's kind of like when you have a massive night out, maybe you've been drinking for a few days on the trot or something, you're not 21 anymore, you're 26, 27 now, and you wake up and you go, what am I doing? I think we've all had a moment like that.
You definitely have the night out where you go, oh, I actually don't want to do this anymore. Like, I can feel it where...
It's not enjoyable.
It's not enjoyable.
Going through the motions of getting drunk just to like feel normal. And we were drinking like 5 days in a row in Thailand. Five nights out of 7 we were out drinking. Hard drinking. So it was like Dubai. Dubai just come to me. I felt like Dubai is where I need to go.
Well, Dubai is, I'll tell you what it is. It's a very, 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 very good place to start over. In a sense of somebody very well known in this town, actually, in the hospitality trade, said it to me when I used to work for them, which is the 3 Ds, which was debt, drink, and drugs, where people come here to get past those sort of things. Mine was debt, you know what I mean? Where I came here, It gave me the opportunity to earn a lot more money. I'd had my own business. The last year was very tough, and I didn't end up in lots of debt, but I ended up with zero, you know. So I managed to come out here, start again, start to build wealth again. And again, you're not paying tax and stuff like that. So you can start again. But yes, because of the restrictions and the rules here and everything that you want to obey, it is not, of course you can drink here, but it's, you don't want to misbehave. You don't want to be an alcoholic or heavily into drugs, because there's such a better quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great place for that, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Along with everything else, do you know what I mean? Like, make it sound like a rehab city, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
it is good for that.
For sure, it keeps you in line.
Yeah.
And I think that Dubai, it's almost like the people that you speak to all have the same mindset. Everyone wants to progress.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be healthy. Everyone wants to earn good money here. And it's a very, very positive environment.
Yes.
And I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to maybe explain this as a 27-year-old, you know, moving here, 26, 27-year-old moving here. But it's maybe I understood it subconsciously that I need to get in the environment where people are earning money and working.
Yes.
And driving, because that's going to help.
It's a working culture. If you don't work here, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it with friends who the man's worked, but the wife is looking after the child, but they have kind of nothing to do all day, and it's impacted them. You know, these are the people that kind of don't last. It's like here, it's almost like if you work, the partner works. It's all work. Everything's like, what are you doing? How are we progressing? You know, it's not very much. There's not a lot of what you'd call like suburbia. You know what I mean? It's all graft.
Yeah,
it's good. You know,
no, it's good. It's very positive, and in the military, I understood environment with the discipline thing, and when I left the military, I really got a sense of like, oh, I was only disciplined in the military because of the environment. Now I'm left, and I'm left to my own devices. I am really not I don't have self-discipline.
Okay.
It was just the environment, and I had to relearn discipline at some point on my path, knowing that, oh no, this needs to come from me, not the people. But I also understood that for me, especially for me and my personality, I get positivity from other people. If I'm around positive people, I feel more positive. If I'm around successful people, I feel more successful. And if I'm around happy people, I feel more happy. And so I've always known, I think, that the people that I surround myself with impact me on a deep level.
Well, isn't it the show me your friends, I'll show you your future?
Right.
You know, and the other one I love is you are the amalgamation of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I think people call it the rotten apple theory, which is take a good person, stick them with 4 bad people, and see how quickly that goes wrong.
Mate,
and vice versa.
Exactly. Look at the studies done on Japanese women. They live in Japan. They're eating Japanese food. They're in that environment. They are healthy women. You take that woman out of Japan and you stick her in the United States of America, unhealthy human, right? It's the environment. It's so powerful. And we're lucky enough to be in this environment.
Yes.
And when I told you I was in Ibiza recently with my friends, and like I was talking to them about like the UK and stuff and hearing about their situations. And I was telling them about Dubai and everything that I'm up to. And I was shocked to hear about their situations and how the whole like work thing and culture, and I was telling them my story, and they were asking me, wow, it's amazing, like, you know, what you've done and what you've achieved and stuff. And I was like, well, to be honest, guys, 98% environment, because we grew up in the same town. We went to school together. We are very close friends, and we're exactly like each other in the sense that we had the same upbringing, same mindsets even. But I took myself out of that environment, a small, cold, miserable town in North Wales, and plunked myself in Dubai, you know?
But you're right. And the thing is, sometimes, I mean, I spent about 5 years living in Lincolnshire in the UK. And then me and my friends moved down to London. and we had lots of friends in Lincolnshire. And I was between the age of 13 and 18, so I moved back to London when I was 18 years old. And I remember I would go back there from time to time, and you would feel, I don't know what the right word would be, almost jealousy, or like, oh, well, you know, like, oh, I'm in London, I'm doing this and that, and people are like, certain people that you used to know very well are a bit like, you know, they'd almost get angry with you.
Yes.
And you kind of know, well, you could have done it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yes, it's a big deal to leave home, move away, you know, start trying to make it in a bigger environment. You know, I've slept on floors and forged bus passes and a few bits. Nothing that I would sit here and say was ever strenuous. You know, I had a great time. But you got to be able to make that move, you know, make that decision. And I think people get annoyed that they could have done it.
Yes.
You know, but they didn't. And then you go into regret.
Yes.
You know, in your midlife, which I think in your early days, you don't realize what that can feel like. You know, you're not quite there yet, to be fair. But once you turn 40, you may see what happens.
Give me another year then.
Yeah. But I think people do struggle with that, where they see people they grew up with that they go, why didn't I just go and get on that bus? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. And there is, you know, some looks and stuff. And to be honest, I've stayed away from my hometown a lot. No, I hardly ever go back there, just because I'm so busy here and there's so many other beautiful places to see around the world. And, you know, still love the people there. Nothing against them, you know, it's the environment. And look at the UK, man. Look at the news and stuff. The whole thing that's going on, it's like a big cloud, literally and figuratively, over that island. And it's very negative. I will say one thing though about London. London in the summer
is the best place in the world. Yeah.
What a city.
I worked there 20 years, yeah. London in the summer is the greatest place to be ever, because everyone just becomes super happy. You know what I mean? Like London in January is miserable.
Is
you know
it?
what I mean? But London in the summer, like the vibe is unreal. You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's because the Brits are clinging to it. Do you know what I mean? Like the summers have improved a lot over the years, but it used to be 1 week or 2 weeks of weather. And I think once you've got that long 2-month period, you know, London in the summer, superb.
I was lucky enough to be able to go to London with a client of mine, and for like 6 weeks in the summer and Christmas for about 3 or 4 years on the trot before COVID. And some of the best memories there, just staying in central London in a hotel, you know, working for like an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, and the rest of the time just going around London, the parks, the pubs, and enjoying it. It's such a great energy, you know, all the people walking around everywhere. And I guess, like you said, because they spend so long with the clouds and the rain, when it does come, it's like they all appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, also, I wanted to ask you, you are Muay Thai.
I did a little bit in Thailand, yeah.
A little bit, or how? Because that is wild as a martial art. Like that's something that I've always looked at and gone, if there was one I'd love to do, I'm 48, so I can still do it. Might be a bit of a struggle, but I wanted to ask you, like, that type of training again.
Yeah, you should do it. What do you do?
What do I do?
Training wise?
I just go to the gym.
Okay.
I've gone to the gym on average 3 times a week for the last 17 years, and this is as good as it's got.
Right. Yeah. Mate, you're in good shape for a 48-year-old.
Oh, thank you very much.
Look around the streets and the malls and look at people your age. You can tell that you train, right?
Thank you.
Right?
No, I appreciate it. I train. I do.
You look like you train.
My problem is diet. So because I'm an F&B director, my job is to eat, and I kind of I could eat much better if I could, but you know, my job is to eat all the food in all these amazing restaurants.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
No, I get that. You just justify it to yourself.
So
right?
I think I've managed to stay like a relatively healthy 90 kilos for about 15 years due to the fact that I kind of burn off most of what I eat.
Yeah.
I could be Mr. Universe by now, but
yeah.
But like, so Muay Thai, like, so the training is brutal.
Yeah.
You know, what made you go for that? Or was that just because you were in Thailand and you thought, yeah, we'll have a go there?
Yeah. It was again in the environment in Thailand. One of my best friends, Kev, who I was in the military with, was a very good Muay Thai fighter. And he was on TV and stuff in Thailand, and he was fighting in some of the world-renowned stadiums in Bangkok doing it, and it looked very cool. He was posting a lot on social media, and I was like, I need to get into that. It looks so cool. And it wasn't for me. I had 2 fights, 2 full rules.
Oh, yeah, so proper fights.
Yeah.
You were, okay.
In the ring, no guards or anything, just gloves, elbows, knees, kicks, trying to kill each other. And one was with a Thai and one was with an American guy. And so 2 fights I had. And I knew it wasn't for me, I didn't have the body for it. I didn't have the mindset for
the training to get to that point, just to find out it's not for you. Like, you got into a proper, how long did you train for?
Yeah. So I was probably training for about 2 months before the first fight. I'd done a little bit of boxing before, so I had the hands there. Muay Thai is completely different. It's obviously kicks, knees, elbows, and you can rip them down to the floor as well in the clinch. And so it's very taxing on the hips, I would say. For me, it was I remember my hips just killing every day. We did 2 hours in the morning. No, sorry. We'd wake up, we'd do a 5-kilometer run. Pointless 5-kilometer run, by the way, knowing as much as I do now about strength conditioning and health. The old school thing for fighters to do is hit the road, road work, go for a run. And it has certain benefits, obviously. Running is really good for you, but at a certain point, running 5K every morning is not effective. It's not efficient. So hit the road, do a 5K, really slow, go to the gym, do a 2-hour training session. And it was warm up, bags, pads, sparring, and they'd finish with 200 knees, 200 kicks, 200 punches, 200 elbows on the bag, just repetitively, dum, 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 dum. That's how they train. And then in the afternoon, another 2-hour session, and it was pretty much similar. Warm up, bag, pads, sparring,
repetition,
drills, 1,000 push-ups after the class, 1-inch push-ups, just and I think the training is done in Thailand. Maybe it's more sophisticated now, and I'm sure it is for the pros. But for us in that, that low level, it was just the way they'd done it. Our trainers had done it that way, and their trainers had done it that way. So it was an old school way of training. Yeah. Wasn't very scientific, let's put it that way. But it was fun. I realized after my second fight, first fight I got knocked down. I didn't get knocked out, as in points wise. I got up, but I was knocked out on the floor, fully knocked out. Woke up, ended up in the next round knocking him out, and then the second fight, American guy in the 3rd round did a spinning elbow and knocked me out and broke my nose. And after the podcast, I'll show you a photo. I've got it on my phone of my nose. When I say it was here, it was actually here. So I was like, nah, not for me. But you should do it.
We'll talk about that after the podcast. Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask, just popped into my head. So after your accident, how, and then was there not a moment where you might have thought,
there was.
Can I do this?
Yeah, there was.
Should I do this?
That was absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was absolutely on my mind. And I think I actually reached out to a doctor, and, I was still young and stupid, And I was like, nah, I'm fine. But maybe, because the nerve damage and stuff on the side of my head. When I look far left, there's a strain and the double vision comes back when I do that. That's about it. That's what I've got from it. And it was all double vision at one point, but now it's this is I can feel it straining because of the nerves and stuff. But again, young, stupid, and just probably shouldn't have been doing Muay Thai, getting my head smashed.
Brilliant.
But it's a good experience. So I recommend for guys that want to get into it. Don't know about women because I'm not a woman, can't speak for them. But if you're a man, going into a training camp where you're forced to not drink, not eat crappy foods, you're going into the ring to battle another man. Very primal, very instinct, kind of what men were built to do, actually.
Yeah. Hunter-gatherer type thing.
Yes, exactly. For hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years, go out there, kill stuff, and fight and kill other people. So going in a kind of controlled environment, going through a camp, getting in the best shape of your life, then getting in the ring and experiencing a real fight is amazing. And it's not when you're going through it because you're shitting your pants the whole time. And in Muay Thai, what they do in Thailand is, at that level, they bring you out and sit you on a chair next to the ring before your fight. So you're all oiled up. They put all this oil all over your body. It's burning you. You've got all your gloves and everything on, and you're sat next to the ring watching the fight before you. Blood, elbows, and all you're thinking in your head is, how can I get out of this?
Yeah.
What can I say to get out of this? I just want to sprint out that exit and run away. And you can't, because everyone would be like, what a pussy.
Because you can't, Because you can't, You need to get carried out.
And so it's a great experience. But for you, like, just even training it, if it's something that you feel like, oh, I'd love to, give it a go.
Yeah, that's definitely
You don't smash each other in the face day one Muay Thai, you're just going through drills and you're getting a bit of a sweat on. I'd highly recommend doing it. It's good fun.
Well, I think the thing for me, and I think this coming back to what you do now and Boxica and coaching and everything that you do, it's all about discipline. Everyone I speak to that does military, successful business, and it's now with the YouTube videos and everything that happens, people can watch on these sort of things. It always comes down to discipline and goal setting, etc., etc. And you see people have either been in the military or they've been martial artists, And one thing you mentioned, you had to learn discipline again. Like, I think it's such an interesting question coming out of the military, where I literally did an earlier podcast with somebody in the military that had the discipline into them, learned it there, took it forward in their life and into their business, where you're saying, funnily enough, you had it, and then once you left the system, it's gone. Yeah. And then you had to sort of self-teach again. Like, how do you learn? It sounds stupid, but how do you learn or teach discipline? And the last thing I will say is that the podcast I was doing with somebody was about a school system. And we were talking about the fact that you learn math and English and geography, et cetera, but no one teaches discipline. No one teaches focus. No one teaches how to handle money. And these are the things that when you get older, these are the things that we're all trying now to tell each other. Focus, discipline, focus, discipline. So how do you teach discipline?
Yeah. No, that's a very good question. And I completely resonate with what you just said about what they teach people in schools. I'm so with you on that one, like real world stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this thing's called money. It's only the most important thing in the world. You will give your life for it. You will give your actual life for this. But we're not going to teach you about it. Yeah. You just got to go out there and figure it out. What?
Yeah. If you don't have that, trust me, if you don't have this, life's going to be awful. But here's geography. Do you know what I mean? It's something you really barely need to know. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So how would you, because again, with Boxica, martial arts, everything you do, how like I say, how do you become proper self-discipline?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And when I saw that photo of my friend's brother, I was, drinking on the streets and not training at all, zero exercise, and hanging around with the wrong kind of crowd and getting arrested and stuff. So, and not going to school, so I wasn't waking up early or anything. I saw that photo. The next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. and went for a run. And I was running around the streets of my hometown, and the orange street lights were on, and all the houses were completely blacked out. And it was fully black. It was in the middle of the winter, and I was running around the streets cold. And I had a moment where I was thinking, every step I was thinking about going back to my bed, my warm, comfy bed at home. And I had a moment where I linked going back to my comfy bed with accepting my current reality as this is the way it's going to be. And I hated it. I already told you that. Like, I hated school. I hated the people I was hanging around with. I hated my life. My mum had left. I hated it. So I knew that I could go back home if I want. I could start walking right now. I could walk back home, get in a nice, warm, comfy bed, accepting my reality. Or I could keep running. And I knew I didn't really have to use my brain much or learn any kind of lesson. Like, school for me was when the teachers were talking, they may as well have been speaking Chinese, Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get any of it. So I knew that I don't have that in me. I'm not academic smart, but I can keep my legs moving. So I sussed it out at that young teenage, like, easy in the short term, hard in the long term. or hard now and easy long term. Train hard, fight easy is a term we use in the Royal Marines. You train hard, you fight easy. And I figured that out when I was like, however old, 13 years old, running on the streets. So going into the military, yes, pretty disciplined. I mean, it's environmental though. You wake up because you're in the military. It's law. Like, you can't just say no. You can't just tell your boss to F off. Like, it's law. You go to prison.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
So
I'll just get fired if I told my boss.
You get fired and you're going to find another job.
Yeah.
If you tell your boss to F off in the military, you're in prison. So it's that kind of environment. And then when you leave, there's no environment. You're on your own. And for me, I realized I wasn't disciplined because I got a little bit out of shape. I mean, I wasn't completely overweight or anything, but I was out of shape. I was taking drugs, doing alcohol, recreationally, not like hot every day or anything. And I knew that my mindset wasn't where it was supposed to be. It was all about my mindset. My mindset was slipping because I was in that environment. I got a job as a scaffolder while I was waiting for the payout and everything. And I was going to this yard in this rainy town in North Wales. I was picking up these poles, sticking them on the back of this wagon and chucking them to these scaffolders all day in that environment where there's like alcoholics and the guys living in that hometown, and they'd accepted their reality. And I realized, discipline-wise, like, no, I need to lift my mindset out of this and I need to think a little bit differently. And just like I did when I joined the Marines, I need to start thinking differently. Because if I think like everyone else is thinking around me, I'm going to end up like them. So I need to change my mindset. And when you're fixed on a goal, when you have goals, when you have a dream life that you want to live, when you have something that you're working for, then discipline becomes easy. Because you said it in the beginning, walking up the Media One Hotel stairs, if you want to do it, it's easy. Every step, every ounce of pain, every drop of sweat, yes, I'm getting closer towards my goal. But if you're dragging me up there and I don't want to be there, this is nonsense. Why am I doing this? So a lot of the people, they've done studies on this where they ask people, why do you do what you do? What do you mean? Why do you do what you do? Why are you doing this? What's the reason? What's the outcome? Why are you working like this? Why are you in your profession? What are you doing? I don't know. That's the most common answer.
Yeah, which is a bit mad. You know what I mean? When
you give your life,
know what their purpose is. Yeah.
Mate, you give your life for money. You give your life for it. So what are you giving it for? And so for me, discipline is nothing to do with the military. It's nothing to do with my background. It's everything to do with realizing and spending some time with yourself and thinking about what you want out of life. And then going after it. And if you want it that bad, discipline doesn't come into it. You're doing what you need to do in order to get the outcome. No matter how tired you are, no matter how hard it is, no matter how consistent you have to be, because likely that goal is a big goal and it's going to take a long time to achieve it. So it's all about just setting your mindset to what you want and then doing whatever's necessary to get there. And if you get to a certain point and you don't do what you need to do, you don't want the goal.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. You obviously don't want it as much.
You don't want
as
it. Yeah, so you target to something else because you're not willing to put in that sacrifice to get that. So focus on something else. But if you want it, you'll just do it regardless.
That is, yeah. I feel blown away by that. Do you know what I mean? I think I was going to ask. So now, Boxica developing that. How many are there now? Is that right?
We started with one studio.
Yeah.
It's still the same location.
Yeah.
But we have 4 training areas now and a cafe. So we took new leases on units and we grew the business. And now we're just going through a strategic partnership with another investment company.
Because this is the second time you've done something like this. Is that right?
It's my second business. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the first one, ran it for a number of years, gained a load of experience, decided I want to do something else, and teamed up with a friend of mine, Lee Borg. He's an extremely successful individual who's taught me a lot over the years. He's into real estate. And we set up Boxica. And we we went around different fitness studios, and I went to New York and did a week of research there, and we flew to Amsterdam, we went to London, and we took a lot of what we saw, and we said that the whole point of having a gym is for people to get in shape, right?
That's what I was going to say about your whole thing about discipline is now you're kind of self-taught, opening the business, bringing people in en masse. And how I was going to ask, how do you manage their interpretations of this? So everyone turns up thinking it might be easy, and then they get their asses handed to them. You know, like it's like the journey that people go on.
For sure. And that's the biggest, in my experience in the fitness industry now, that was my biggest thing, where it was like, how do I break down the walls so people feel comfortable coming here? Because people don't feel comfortable going to a gym.
Because they're out of shape.
Especially if they're out of shape.
Yeah.
Right? So, but this doesn't make any sense to me, because our business is getting people in shape. So this doesn't work, right? For me, I didn't understand this. I didn't understand it. I'm like, no. What is going on here? So, okay, so someone's out of shape. They don't feel good about themselves. They're intimidated going to a gym, right, where everyone's going to stare at them or whatever. So we need to build something. We need to build an environment that people feel comfortable in. So from the communication, the team, the staff, the actual concept with the lights and everything, people feel very comfortable coming to Boxica. And you can, don't take my word for it. You can check the Google reviews and what people are saying about Boxica, where it doesn't matter if you're out of shape, you go at your own pace. So I would consider myself quite fit. Lots of my coaches are way fitter than me. And I can do a workout with someone that hasn't trained for 7 years, and we can go, or ever, and we can go through the same workout and we can feel exactly the same. It's just I'm doing more work because I've trained my body for a number of years and they're doing what they can do. But we feel the same after it, right? And so it's building an environment that's unintimidating, fun, and that lifts the person up and makes them feel like, oh, this is a second home. I like these people. These people are nice. They're genuine. They're learning my name. It's a cool environment.
I think that's another thing that you need in a gym is you need to be in a space that doesn't have a culture of arrogance in it. I used to go to a gym in the UK, and I'm a bit OCD about everyone putting the weights back and stuff like that. It's that this was the opposite of that, ways, and just putting them on the floor and walking away.
Yeah, no respect.
Yeah, and I think that where people feel comfortable is that they're in a space where, like you say, going to the gym in the beginning is tough because you feel weak. You know what you look, everyone knows what they look like. Do you know what I mean? And when you wear gym clothes in the gym, there's no hiding,
Exactly.
One thing I used to sort of say in my own head is take a look around. There's always someone you wish you were, and there's always someone you're glad you're not. And just sit and go, all right then, there you go. So
that's a great way.
You're feeling very, very self-conscious, you know what I mean? But take a look around and you're going to see somebody that, you want to aspire to be. And then you're going to see the person you go, all right, well, at least I'm better than them. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great way.
And then just get going.
A great way of looking at it. And at every level.
Unless you can't see anyone worse.
Yeah. Because there is that person. That's the whole reason why we are where we are now. It's because we've tried as much as possible to break down those walls, and make people feel comfortable. And now we have this space where it's amazing when I see it. There's people that come that are out of shape, and the team are treating them and talking to them like people, not looking at them like cattle. And the members are very encouraging because they remembered where they were when they first come, and they were intimidated, feeling a little bit nervous and stuff, and they cheer people on, and it's an amazing environment. And that's the only reason why we've got 350 active monthly members. We've got another 150 class pass users. We've got another 150, class package users that we call it as members as well. There's 800 unique individuals that visit Boxica every month, and we do like 14, 15 classes a day, and a lot of them are full. It's all because of the environment we've created.
It's amazing. Well, look, this has been a remarkable conversation. I mean, I've done a lot of these podcasts with people that I've only met for the first time before I've done it. Your story is, like I said, I mean, I would actually sit here and say truly inspiring, you know. But so out of everything you've been through, like if you could leave a lasting comment, you know, about, I mean, I don't even know how to frame it from your world, but you know, it's like if there's anyone out there watching that is feeling, I don't know, sort of, I don't know, what would you say to somebody now if you could say anything to them? Like I say, I'm struggling to be able to position it because it's like you've had such a unique experiences. I don't want to sit here and say there's somebody watching who's been in an accident and was close to death, nothing like that. But it's just more like people that think they can't do something, or they've had an accident actually, and they're feeling like life has given them a middle finger. Like, what would you say?
So I would say that everyone has a goal or a dream or something that they want to achieve. And I had goals and dreams, but I didn't think I was worthy of them. I didn't really believe in myself. Therefore, I wasn't taking action on it. And it took the universe to literally smash my head up and to be in hospital and to see this other gentleman and to go through this whole thing, to realize, like, oh, actually, I can do that stuff. I was the only person holding me back, fully capable of doing everything I wanted in my mind. I didn't believe in myself. And so what I would say to people is, I was lucky enough to go through that near-death experience, but you don't need to go through a near-death experience to realize that those feelings of regret and anger, the screams that were coming from me as a 21-year-old on that desert floor, hey, you're going to feel that if you don't go after your goals and dreams one day. Every single person listening to this is going to feel that. They're either going to feel it when they're really old and they haven't gone after their goals and their dreams, and they're going to realize they've got no more energy now for life. They're going to feel what I felt on that desert floor, which was the worst feeling I've ever experienced in my life. Or they're actually about to die, and they're going to go, fuck, why didn't I do that thing that I wanted to do? So, and I know that for a fact because I experienced it. So if you're listening to this and you have something you want to do, what are you waiting for? Get after it.
Wow. You know what I mean? So, Cyrus, thank you so much for coming on. I wish you all the best. It's been superb in every way, mate. So
great chance.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
You know.